on the table. How are you both doing?
Hello,
and how are you doing today?
I'm good. Glad to be alive.
I
thank
know.
God for His mercies. And it's good to see you again.
Thank you.
Lord, it's good to see you.
Effort with the hair, effort with the golden hair. How is everybody? I'm always excited to be here to bring real conversations to your doorstep every time we join you for lunchtime. Thank you for joining.
All right, so let me ask you guys, how did you spend your weekend?
I have a story.
Oh, tell us.
I had an amazing time. I've always wanted to go to the George Hotel in Ikoyi, so I had the privilege of being there this weekend. I was there from Friday to Sunday. It was my birthday gift from
and you bumped into who? Huh. Do you want to share that?
How did you know?
Do you want to share that?
Did I tell you?
Of course, you told me.
I don't know why I didn't take a picture actually, but I bumped into Bobrisky there. He was.
Oh, you did.
He was staying there.
Was it male or female?
Well, the one I saw is Bobrisky. I didn't see
the she.
I saw the she. I didn't see the he.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to be sure.
I know, but when she's in drag, she's Bobrisky. But when she's not dressed up like that, she'll probably be her real name.
Wait until you see her then.
All right. How did you spend your weekend?
Weekend was quietly spent. I'm a home girl, you know.
Yeah.
My daughter and I at home, you know. There's always work to do at home. So many chores. You just get busy.
Yeah, be busy. Sorry, I ain't breaking no nails.
If I ask her like that, I don't ask her again, our producer. If I say, how did your weekend go? You say that I always doing chores and all of that. Yes. So now just move it to next.
Sorry, I don't break nails, sweeping and cleaning nails.
I told you when I grow up, I'll be like you.
Please, grow quickly.
All right. My weekend was really nice.
Yes, I saw all your outfits.
What did you say?
I saw the Arabian dancing. I saw BJ. She was really coming Arabian princess.
With my toast. All right, guys, let's move on now before they allow me start saying and all that thing. So, and I know this weekend I have events Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Even Monday go and paint the town red. That's until Yenny put his birthday.
Wow.
Go paint the town red. So it's like this. My body is ready to just put yourself out there. All those people you are not too old for that. All right, guys. You know what? Before we keep going on, and I think it's another day, another segment, which is one of the segments we love the most, which is on this day in history. Let's take a look. Please stay with us.
Okay.
On this day in history, exactly 23 years ago, on the 18th of May 1998, Abacha raises objection to the suit filed by Chief Gani Fawehinmi, challenging his adoption as the sole presidential flag bearer of the 5 political parties at the Federal High Court. It was truly a blatant display of authoritarian rule over the rule of law. However, Chief Gani Fawehinmi will be remembered for his philanthropic fights for social justice and equality of rights between the government, the people it ruled.
Welcome back. On this day in history, you know, it's unfortunate that a lot of things that we're still complaining today are still in place, and 23 years later we can find, you know, one of the strong voices who continue to stand for social justice, you know, fight for the people, which is Chief Gani Fawehinmi, you know, blessed memory, may his soul continue to rest in peace. It's unfortunate that we have people like that, you know, leave us so soon. We've seen the likes of Afenifere as well. What's his name? Udumaki, you know, that also went and all of that. So, you know, I just pray that there are a lot of courageous leaders who are ready to, you know, face the government, who doesn't care about whatever nemesis is going to come out of it. And I think that is what we all need to come together, you know, to have unity on. And I don't know what Lolo have to say with this submission.
I respect Chief Gani Fahimi. He stood for what he believed. And I keep saying, I heard someone say that if you're not ready to die for what you believe, then you don't believe in anything.
Exactly.
And a lot of them lived this truth, and that's what Chief Gani Fahimi did, and that's why we're remembering him today for some of what he did at that time to stand against the then General Sani Abacha, saying that no, we don't want you to be the sole candidate for all the political parties that were in existence at that time. It was such a courageous thing to do at that time.
Yeah, I think Chief Gani Fahimi was an icon. He was one man who, I mean, you know, when he's angry, when you hear him talk, you almost think the next moment he's just going to drop dead.
Yeah.
You know, because you could tell this was a man who had passion for his country. He loved his country. And the one thing I do know is if you do not stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And for Sani Abacha to have thought that he would be the sole candidate of all 5 political parties, I think he was just living in fool's paradise.
No, many thanks for that submission. All right, before we get into our discussion for today, let's take a quick message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. So bye-bye.
People they ask me, say, where did they make me smile? I tell them people say, how I love plenty, just like 1,000 smiles. Waiting for 7 months was far too long. Echo Hotels and Suites is back with the same passion to take care of me in the same good old way, and even better.
It's been a long time, sir.
Far too long.
To make up for all the time they were truly missed.
The new look Amstel Motor, and introducing new Amstel Motor Ultra, the first ever no added sugar malt. Both made from the best quality ingredients, have a world-class name, and are good for you. Amstel Motor and new Amstel Motor Ultra with no added sugar. Be your best.
Guys, welcome back. There's quite a number of conversation that is always going on when we're on break, but whether we like it or not, the talks about the 2023 election is intensifying, and day by day, especially when it comes to who is going to lead us. You know, we are the actors, we are the gladiators, and the contenders, and the pretenders as well, whether we like it or not, and the ones people consider as jokers. And yeah, because international bodies or government see us as jokers. What are the right ingredients to have a winning campaigning team? These are all the conversation we'll be having today. And of course, we have a guest, a lawyer who was part of the campaign team of the US Senator Hillary Clinton, and we'll be engaging him in the next few minutes on the 2023 election, getting campaign dynamics right. But first, let's take a quick look at his profile. We'll be right back. All right, interesting profile, I must say. But you know what, guys? The TikTok goes behind the clock, and it's less than 2 years that the 2023 election and political heavyweights are beginning to constitute their campaign teams. We engage our guests on the need to have a solid campaign team for election victory. And we also make an attempt to analyze past election campaign in Nigeria and how the 2023 will play out. And of course, not just that, we'll take a look at the individuals in the running of the national top positions. I'm very sure you all know that the only two top positions when it comes to political career is the PDP and APA. But it's nice to have you in the studio, sir. Many thanks for joining us. And of course, you know, I will say that it's an honor to have you on the platform today.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, so you know, let's just dive straight into the conversation today. The 2023 election is too important for us not to get it right. What does 2023 spell out for us with the current state of political events in our country? Because I believe that we are gladiators. I believe that there are quite a number of international bodies that sees us as jokers, and sometimes is also the circle that we are all still talking about. It seems as if we just do the talking, and the same people are still the ones governing us. What's your take on all of this, sir?
Well, you know, there is no election that is not important. We must understand that. No matter how localized, so long as it deals with the prospect and the aspirations of human beings that occupy that space, it is an important endeavor. Now, we can't lay emphasis enough on that, because people don't understand. They think it's just going out that day to cast a vote for somebody that you like, or because he gave you something. But I've always said to people, the ballot paper that you see, that card, good hospitals are in there, the roads are there, good schools are there, the welfare of the human person is in that. But we think it's just a plastic. So we accept 2,000, 1,000 and go there, bag of rice. Sometimes not even a bag.
Not a bag.
Just a cup.
A kg, one kg.
Yeah, so we go and then cast the vote. And when these people have spent their money so much, and they go, the first thing they think about is to recoup. Not about you.
Yeah.
Now, the difference in other parts of the world is you have people, the electorates, funding the candidates. And that is why the candidates are beholden to their electors, because they know you are coming back. If you don't do what they want, when next you come, the purse will dry up. Nobody will fund you. No matter how rich you are, wealth don't grant you, or riches don't guarantee you victory abroad. The reason is because when people give you their money, they are bound to support you to win, emotionally connected to you. So even when you have all the money in the world and you raise the billions and throw into your election, after meeting the condition for doing so, you might still end up losing. It is because people are not willing to fund you. So it is critical that we understand that every election cycle is important, because progress is incremental. You know, it's like a handover of the baton in the relay. I'm running, so I give it to you. You run your lap, you pass it to the next person. So there's consistency.
Yes.
I don't know how many of you have seen this video of a school inter-house sport, where a young man in yellow outfit was running and is giving a lot of gap to the others.
Recently?
Yes, and when he gave it to, I have the video here, when he gave it to the last person, who should then power forward and win the race, he started going back to where
running backward. I think
the other
their
was
children.
coming. Yes.
Their children is a funny
And he was
video.
running with so much strength and dedication that
And going backwards.
the teachers were running after him and he kept going. He didn't
I guess that was the way he understood the race.
Yes. So that's why it's important that we get the right set of people to run and represent us.
You know, I just want to stay on that point you made, that sometimes the electorate can fund the campaign of the people that are put in position. But I will still say that the same happens for us here. There are still some select cabal, there are still some select people that fund the politicians, and they are supposed to be doing it in the interest of the people.
No.
But what we find out that when they fund their campaigns and the things that they set about to do, they would go back to that sharing of portfolios and things are attached to them funding these campaigns for these politicians.
So politics is about interest.
Yes.
And that the interest you cater for most is the dominant interest. Now, if the people fund you and put you in power, you know that the people's interest is the dominant interest.
Yes.
You must meet that. But if a cabal, like you said,
Yes.
provided the funds, first of all, they won't give you the funds without negotiating what they will get in return.
Very true.
And so you find people coming up with contracts or projects that are not useful to the people. Now, in a state where potable drinking water is not available, why do they need an airport? Ask me. How many people are using the airport?
Yeah.
True. The same cabals.
Yeah. In a state where the roads are not good, why do they need an overhead? At least get the road to function first for people to use. So this is why you see some of these white elephants, because they need to think about projects that are big enough to bring out the money spent in the course of the election. So what we need to do as a people, and I've heard this argument so many, always say, no, Nigerians are so poor. Listen, poverty is not a Nigerian citizen. Poverty is a global citizen. As I speak to you, close to 28 million Americans are poor. They're living below poverty line. But you know what? These same people are able to give to candidates to go and protect their interests. So we need to
Sorry to interject. Would that be a case of they hold them accountable?
Yes.
There's no accountability here. So where do we go from here?
I mean,
in line with what you were saying.
Yes, the people have to, when you have your people in power and they know they are there because of you, then they are beholden to you. When they are moving a motion, it is about you. When they are proposing policies, it's about you. But if you are not their godfather, so to say, as we say here, it means the man is thinking about policies, he will call his godfather first and say, sir, what do you want me to propose? As far as this is concerned. Because it's about the interests of the people who brought him to power. And so that is what we need to change. You know, but people say, oh, you know, we are poor. What do I even have? There's nobody who is too poor not to give something. You can give a smile.
But somebody had even put an analogy that if it's about poverty, I doubt if Nigerians are poor. We watch some of these reality shows, and the money is that just voting generate is a whole lot. So if the campaign is funded in that way also, that means the smallest of Nigerians can actually fund a candidate.
And I agree with you. In 2008, we saw how Barack Obama, then candidate Barack Obama, opted out of government funding and decided to raise his own fund. And we saw how young kids, some we just said, oh, I don't want to have lunch today because I want to give the money to Barack. $1 here, $1 here, $1 there. And then he was able to raise so much money.
You know, listening to you, sir, I think that when you talk about giving analysis of the international community, whether we like it or not, our leaders, you know, let's talk from their wives. Their wives do not work. Their community, people who are closer to them, do not work. I've never seen any state governor where their wives work. However, in communities like all this international body, you will see the president's wife working in a restaurant. You will see the president's wife, you know, still teaching in a school. So I ask him, Payne, is our problem that of a leadership or a political party that, you know, we keep shouting 2023 is going to come and solve our problems? But the question is it a problem of the constitution or the law that has set, you know, some things in a rigid way that's the reason why we think the way we think? Because you're a very well-versed lawyer and you're also a political analyst. So I would like you to please tell us, you know, that where do we start from with all the challenges we are facing, and why the mindset of people thinking that 2023 is coming to solve our problem, especially with the mentality of the example I illustrated for you?
So here is the situation. I think it's a system and value problem.
Okay.
We have built a system that we have not improved on for years. And people just inherit that system and run with it and say, look, oh, this is AYZ did this, so I have to do it. I don't have to change the system. Now, the system holds you to account on specific things. Now, if you have read the book by Michelle Obama, Becoming, she said she had a shock when they ordered food in the White House and the bill was brought to them. Because the president of the United States earns $400,000 per annum. And he's got to feed his family from there and clothe himself. Now, the only time he gets to eat free food is when he's hosting a foreign leader, and then there's a banquet. Other than that, he's responsible. In our own country, the president and his family eats as...
It's a feast.
It's a feast.
It's a feast.
The government pays for that.
Yes.
Governors and their wives and immediate family, even their clothing, everything is provided
so
for.
interjecting you again, sir, you know, I'm happy that you use that to illustrate your point, and you're saying that $400,000 per annum is being allocated to these people. Now, I'm sorry to say this, that the governors are actually the one controlling or ruling us in this country, whether we like it or not, because the reason why I say that every governor in each state are the ones in charge of their country. So every month, a governor is being given, you know, security allocation, which is about 1.2 or 1.4 billion naira every month. Ekiti state that is not also really, you know, thriving well. They are collecting over 400 billion naira every month. So what is the problem? What is our problem? Is you know, it's so painful that we are quick to, you know, let me allow you.
Again, it's back to the system.
Yeah.
You know, when you have to improve a system from time to time, so that it can respond to the reality of the people. So you see a typical governor in the United States. It doesn't. Let me give an example of the state of Texas.
Okay.
The deputy governor, called the lieutenant governor, is more powerful than the governor in the sense that he controls the Senate, where the budget and everything is approved from. Now, in some states also in the US, you have governors and their deputies who don't belong to the same party. You see? You also have commissioners that are not appointed by the governors, but they are elected by the people. So you have a commissioner of finance, let's say in a state in the US, who is a Democrat, and then you have the governor, a Republican, and the governor walks to the commissioner and say, I need you to give me X amount of money, like it's done here, where the governor will walk to the commissioner or just call, and Your Excellency, yes sir, yes sir. No
and
question is asked.
And the money is...
Yes.
The man who is elected and is beholden to his people, you say, why do you need the money, Mr. Governor?
Defended.
It has to be defended. So accountability is a problem.
Transparency.
Because you hold, these people hold their offices at the pleasure of their excellencies. First and foremost, I said, the title excellence, we call you excellence not because you are indeed excellent.
At all.
It is an aspiration, it's not a title.
Yes.
We assume that you will grow into the job and do things excellently. So you can earn that name.
What's the marble?
So you can earn it. But people just think it's a title and a rank. So the wife is Her Excellency, the man is His Excellency.
The children.
And then they become liability, in quotes, so to say, to the state. No, they should be doing their things. The wife of the governor of Maine in the US works in a restaurant to make ends meet for the family.
You know,
so this idea that once you become an elected official in Nigeria, your sins literally are forgiven, your needs are gone. That's why election is so violent.
You know, let's even talk about, I like the way you're pointing out some of these inherent things and how we have a systemic problem. Let's go to campaigns. Every time I look at an election, like an American election, you see that they set up campaign offices filled with all sorts of people willing to support a campaign. But here in Nigeria, if you look at the manifesto from the time that we have been electing governors and presidents, I can hardly say that a manifesto is different.
Okay.
Maybe the only thing that is different is the slogan.
And the names.
And the names. This will say agent of change. But if you look at the agenda, it is still make Nigeria great again. We'll give you change. All those things. But you will still see portable water.
Change in naira
dollars. The same thing is being regurgitated year in, year out. So, how do we effect a change?
So we don't run campaigns that are inventive, and we don't run campaigns that we task the candidates.
Yes.
For two reasons. One, the Electoral Act says you cannot campaign within certain period. So we have a timetable that says, at this point, political parties will go and conduct ward elections, and then they move to the state, and then they move to Abuja, where the presidential candidates are picked. And from that time to election is just about 2 months. You have 36 states. You do not know those who are going to govern you. Literally, you don't know them.
Until they are
You have not even interacted with them. Like David Axelrod said, he said campaigns are the MRI of the soul.
Yes.
So I agree.
A candidate cannot hide himself if he has to do over 30 debates within his own party.
Yes.
Where his cultural, social, political, economic outlooks
are extreme
will be searched and x-rayed by other candidates. Because you have what is called opposition research.
Yeah.
I'm going to research you. If you are my opponent, I have my team research you.
Yes.
Things you have said before, things you have done before, and I put you on the spot.
Yes.
And everybody is watching.
Yes.
Now, when you emerge from the party, you then go to the candidate debate. The candidates are going to face themselves. Now from the opposing party. We don't have that here. What we have here is, you say, we are going to have presidential debate. And one candidate chooses not to come. And at the end of the day, he's the person that wins. Honestly. Because
you've seen it happen.
Look at it. All the candidates that never showed up won the election.
Yes.
Yes.
So that brings me to that question. Same question, same thing we're talking about. The democracy we lay claims to practicing, is it really suited for our country?
So
is it? Because why am I saying this? We're known to copy everything from the West.
So in this case, we copied, we pasted wrongly.
Okay.
And I will explain.
Okay.
We didn't actually copy the presidential system wholly from the United States. We tweaked it, you know, in a manner that has made it more difficult to actually operate. First and foremost, we don't have the kind of resources. Then we don't have the cultural values that they have. For instance, if Kike does something today that makes her position untenable, Kike does not need to latch to any part of the Constitution and say, I'm going to sit in the office. She will leave so that the focus can become governance, not on her person.
Yes.
But when it happens here, we go to our communities, get uniforms for people to come. Even when somebody is being accused of corruption,
yes,
go to his community
and get
some people,
to follow
give
him.
them uniform with their drum, and they come to the court.
Yes.
To say we are standing with him.
Yes.
And I say to people, know where the man is standing before you want to stand with him. Because sometimes it stands nowhere.
Yes.
So, and I'll give you some clear examples. The American system that we brought here
is
a system that the vice president also doubles as the president of the Senate. In the absence of the vice president, you have the Senate president pro tempore who governs the activities of the Senate, while the majority leader from the Senate, who is from the party of the majority in the Senate, does the floor operation. Now, in Nigeria, we have a Senate president, an active Senate president, big budget office.
Yes.
We have a deputy Senate president. They don't have over there. Now, we have speaker and deputy speaker. They have speaker, they don't have deputy. Okay? And then, the polar opposite is, why you know that every member of the House in the United States earns about $174,000.
All right, many thanks for that submission. We'll go on a quick break and get a word from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
People, they ask me, say, where did they make me smile? I tell them people, say, how I love plenty, just like 1,000 smiles.
Waiting for 7 months was far too long. Accra Hotels and Suites is back with the same passion to take care of me. The same good old way, and even better.
It's been a long time, sir.
Far too long.
To make up for all the time they were truly missed.
Amstel Motor. And introducing New Amstel Motor Ultra, the first ever no added sugar malt. Both made from the best quality ingredients, have a world-class name, and are good for you. Amstel Motor and New Amstel Motor Ultra with no added sugar. Be your best.
Many thanks for staying with us. In case you just joined the show, our conversation has been on the 2023 election, and we are talking about the campaign sense and the structures, and of course, and those characters that governs us. Don't forget that you can be part of the conversation by calling the studio line 0809-8877-400, and it's showing on your screen right now. And of course, you can also be part of this conversation by streaming live on our Instagram page, and of course our YouTube page on Real Talk with Kike, and of course on Silverbird Television. And you know, it's sad, you know, listening to you thus far. You know, I know that Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, that's a governor of Kano State, we say, and some northern politicians have aligned themselves with the agitation that the South should produce the next president of the country in 2023. So the question now is, are we on the right track to 2023? Because quite a number of people believe that it should come from our party, it should come from North, it should come from South. I don't know how we got to that place of a mindset that we have to believe that there is a particular tribe that must lead us. What's your take on it as a political analyst?
First and foremost, there is no part of the country that cannot produce a viable president.
Exactly.
So let's get that out of our mind.
Yeah.
You go to the North Central, you see qualified candidates who can govern this country. Even in this studio, Lolo can govern the country.
Sure.
Now, the job of a president is enormous, but it's also so simple. You know why? Because he has the resources to hire the best brains around and just provide guidance and leadership.
Yes.
So that's not it. The issue. Now, politicians, you remember that we had this issue of this issue in the country where a part of the country said one other part was dominating everything.
Yes.
And so somehow there was this loose arrangement by politicians that let's start the zoning system, though not constitutional, but it's morally binding. Let's start the zoning system. And so if a northerner had been in power in 2023 for 8 years, the thinking of APC is that it is better to go to the south. Now, PDP, for more that we are saying, is likely going to go to the north. Okay, so that does not mean when it comes to the south, we cannot find somebody in the south. But I think we should even move beyond that point.
Okay.
And my thinking was at some point, we will come to a situation where...
Apologies, I might have to interrupt a line of thought. We have James from Edo State calling in. James, many thanks for calling us. What's your contribution on the topic at hand?
Yes, I only want to contribute. I just watched this, your Real Talk. Your Real Talk is truly very okay because you are actually speaking the truth. Aside that lawyer, I think if we have this lawyer, we'll be able to, this country will be able to go very well. He is just saying the fact, how it's supposed to be, the way it's supposed to go. I think if the government in Nigeria can be able to do all this, not just compared outside the state, I think we'll be able to go well. I need people like lawyers, I need people like this who are lawyers who can say the truth, barristers who can say the truth, so that our country can be able to move forward. Look at everywhere. He just said something that touched me that makes it for you. He said, when we are lacking of food, we keep up building bridges here and there. What for? So please, I love the program. I think from now we'll be watching it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You just made a fan right there.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
The truth is that there are people who speak the truth all the time in this country. Yes. We're not lacking people who speak the truth.
Yes.
I agree.
You know, somebody said to me, oh, why don't you go to the Senate? I said, I won't make any difference.
Yeah.
And the simple reason is the Senate is a hierarchical society. Another. You can't just go there and start making noise. In fact, they can even suspend you.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not that we don't have good people in the Senate. but we don't have enough. The system is a problem, and that's why we need to tweak and keep tweaking the system.
You know, look, yeah. When you say tweaking, I was just going to ask you, what can we do? It's an obvious fact that we need to inject new life into our political system. How do we do that with the ruling party still having the old breed entrenched? It's like a hydra that the roots are so deep. How do we inject new life into this polity towards 2023?
First and foremost, it's not true that the old breed controls the party now. The substratum of the two political parties are young people. I'll prove it to you. Look at the number.
Apologies, I'm going to have to interrupt you. We have Eri from Lagos. Say, Eri, many thanks for calling on the show today. Can you hear us? Eri.
Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead. Thank you for calling on the show.
Okay.
Make your point, Harry. We can hear you.
I can hear you very well.
All right, make your point.
I really appreciate the program. Like, I really appreciate. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate having a program like this.
All right,
okay? Okay, I really want to appreciate having a program like this that will give citizens the right to also share their ideas and what they feel will be good for the country.
All right,
now the point.
So you said, what can we do?
Yes.
The citizens will just basically have to organize and be more politically aware. For instance, our campaigns are wholesale. You have a big rally in Lagos.
Yeah.
The presidential candidate is there, governors of the party are there, and speeches are made, and then they disappear. We want to see retail politics. You know, in Lagos State last, in 2029, the candidate was a retail candidate. I gave that to him.
As in
2019?
2019,
yes.
Governor Solulu, grassroots, he went.
His life depended on it. He was everywhere. He shopping mall.
Yes, his life depended on it at that time because he needed to introduce himself.
Now, but that is for winning election.
Yes.
You also need a retail approach to governance. Not that as soon as you're elected, you go lock yourself in His Excellency bunker, the people can no longer reach you. So you have to create avenues where the people can reach you, and then you get to get first-hand experience about the problems they are facing. Now, when Obama was president, was something he did, which is to ask his secretary to receive emails and letters from ordinary citizens in America who will write to express or tell the president their problem. And the last thing he does every night before going to bed is to go through those mail and then contact them if he needs to, or get the office to reach out to them.
You know, I'm afraid that we don't have such such leaders. I'm afraid, but I think we have another caller on the line. We have Amata from Jos, Ayaka from Jos. I hope I pronounced that well. Ayaka, many thanks for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand?
A beautiful day indeed, and I'm enjoying the real talk.
Thank you.
The real talk is touching my mind deeply on behalf of my people that I'm from Nasarawa State.
We need check it. I hope my producer can hear that. We need check it. I have to check it on my live radio, but this one.
What I'm saying, this talk that you are talking to the air is very interesting story, and it will like the locality people.
All right.
More especially in my area, I have some of my children that came to just 2 weeks ago. No food for them, no go area, no area to go and farm in their locality area. All I'm saying, the power of Nigeria belongs to each zone. That's a governor of a state has the power. And the business that the Fulani are running their cow is a personal business. Could you believe I enjoy eating pig meat? Can I today go to Kano and rear pig in Kano without obtaining land? So the way we are now, it's like land belongs to one section of this country. All our people that have been fighting for all the years, ancient years, now they cannot go anywhere and farm to feed themselves. Where do we go from here? That's my contribution.
Many thanks, Ayaka, for calling on the show. You know, you've been sharing a lot thus far, but I want to take your mind back to the southeast that you mentioned earlier, which is the Onaneze Indibo group says that the time is for Nigerians to get a president from the southeast in 2023, and that the talent of the Igbos are yet to be fully utilized or maximized by Nigerians. Just like we have been emphasizing on that. I don't know why people believe that it must come from a tribe, you know. Section. So the Igbos themselves are agitating for a breakup and a Biafra nation. So what exactly are we to believe and follow with everything that is going on right now with the division of Biafra law and the Yoruba nation and all of that?
So these are centrifugal tendencies. And it's not uncommon to have them in a democracy. Because as people get dissatisfied, increasingly dissatisfied with the governance and all kind of things, you have this. But this is not something that cannot be dealt with and dealt with quickly. Now, every part of the country, like I said, is qualified to produce the president. But you see, you are not going to produce the president because you say we are qualified to produce it and it's our turn. You have got to join a political party. You have got to go on campaign, cut alliances, build bridges, and be able to win the election in a multi-ethnic society like Nigeria. Now, so it is left for the Igbos. I know they are predominantly in the PDP. They are not so much in the APC. And if you live in a country like Nigeria where there are two dominant political parties, you cannot afford not to belong to the two political parties. And so if they get the ticket of the PDP and the APC for whatever reason give their ticket to somebody else from another part of the South, then it's an interesting combination.
Yes.
Would you think
I totally agree.
Would you think that our problem here, basically, it's insincerity and greed?
There's greed everywhere in the world.
I agree. I agree.
The words greed and insincerity are not our local dialect. So if they don't know it, they won't have a name for it. But I think it's the level. It looks like we're in love with just talking, pontificating on our problems. Even for those who have had the opportunity, taking us in a different direction. You can imagine a former president who was president for 8 years, had the opportunity to restructure. Big word. For everybody now. Restructure. He did nothing. Absolutely. Today he's singing about restructure. This is the problem, and that is the hypocrisy of our system. And the problem is that because most people don't understand what the issues are, all the people who created these problems, once they just move to the other side and become
once they're out of office,
and then become activists, saying the right things, then people say, oh, he's a good man, he's the champion of the poor.
But he had the opportunity.
So we can look like somebody who made a call from I think Jos or so, who was talking about herdsmen and others, and what the southern governors came out last week to say we banned open grazing. But then you ask yourself, how are they going to enforce it? When you look at the Constitution, it says I have a right to move around freely, and I can also do my business so long as it's not illegitimate or illegal. Now, as they're talking about that open grazing, they ought to be talking to their representatives in the National Assembly to bring a separate bill that will remove policing from the exclusive legislative list and put it to the concurrent legislative list. So you can set up state police. If you don't do that, how are you going to enforce that?
All right. Many thanks for all your submission thus far. Of course, as a political analyst, I didn't expect less from you. And it's very edifying to have you on the table today. And you kept it real all through. And even our audience can also feel that, so many thanks for honoring my invite to be on the show today. But before we let you go, we have to discuss something that the trending stories, what affect us all as a nation or as a people. And one of the trending stories that caught our attention is that of the Kaduna State government, which he has declared the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Ayuba Wabab, and others wanted over the economic sabotage. So on Monday, Wabab, right, I hope I pronounced and WABA led workers in the state on a warning strike over Governor El Rufai, on the decision to sack workers in the state. I think over 12,000 or 20,000 people were sacked. So the action of the workers led to the ground of the economic and social activities in the state. So, it's important for me to get your submission on it. What's your take on it with everything? I'm sure you saw that trending story.
Okay, so first and foremost, workers have the right to organize.
Unionize, yes.
To organize and if possible go on strike. But then there are protocols that must be triggered. Okay, so did they comply with those protocols? That's one. The other issue is that people do not understand that as a labor leader, you have no immunity against crime. If indeed they committed crime, the Kaduna State government can move against them. Now, the other point I want to make is that, look, I think the Labour Congress should begin to think beyond strike on every issue. They should become more creative. Now, for instance, you have an agency of government that increases the price of petrol from time to time.
Arbitrarily.
And each time that happens, Labour will say, if you don't bring it down, we're going to go on strike.
Go on strike.
I expect Labour to say, okay, so give us a salary regulatory commission also. Each time you move the price up, move our salary up. To cope with the shift. You understand? So, for me, and this might be shocking to a lot of people, I support the governor of Kaduna State.
Really?
Yes, our workforce is a problem in this. There's no productivity in the workforce that we have. If you go to almost all the states, they're overstaffed. Okay? So why don't you get rid of people that you can, pay the people you can, pay them off, pay the benefits and everything.
What's your analysis on this?
When it comes to these things, a lot of us always forget that there are laws that are guiding everything that we do. The interpretation of these laws are where we have issues. And a lot of Nigerians are sentimental people. Because we don't like something, that's why we're just shouting. But we have to get to that level that we need to look at the template. What does the law say in itself about these issues? If you are going to lay off somebody off work, what are the modalities? That is what the lawyers should put their focus on. But a lot of people would say no at this time because of the mammoth poverty in the country. And laying off people off work at this time
is not an easy decision to lay off people from their work.
Yes.
But don't forget, the governor had said, I think 2-3 weeks ago, I was not elected to pay salaries alone. And I have seen, look, he gave an example of a minister, I think Minister of Agriculture, where he said they had about 17 drivers and 2 vehicles.
All right, so I hear you on your submission, but this is my take, and I think that is important for me to just look straight into the camera. I want to believe that Governor El Rufai is focused on quality governance and improving the standards of the structure on ground, because however he's not balancing with sensitivity and the pulse of the people he's governing for, because all I see here is ego coming into play when it comes to decision making. He's trending on the part I call receipt for disaster, because sacking over 20,000 people, around 20,000, 4,000 people were the government workers. So my question is, how does he want them to be productive? The same workers have children, the same people that you have increased their tuition fee. So what becomes of the parents who are out of jobs? What becomes of the children who are also out of school? Yet we are complaining of poor education in the north. We are complaining of insurgency and banditry. And yet Governor El Rufai, remember that the idle's hand is the devil's workshop. Because when they are not busy, when they don't have anything to do, hence the reason why you see a lot of these children join banditry. Hence the reason why we see a lot of parents decide to say that they want to withdraw their children from school. And yet we are complaining that it starts from every one of us. However you look at it, and we can be talking about Governor El Rufai right now. Quite a number of other states are also guilty of all of this. So it's sad.
But as far as I'm concerned, this is like an emotional outbreak.
There are so many states that are keeping these workers and not even paying them.
We have ghost workers.
60 months.
The civil service is overblown.
We see a lot of ghosts. All these people that were complaining and shouting, for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's just emotional outburst. Some of them are not even profitable.
And this is stark.
All right.
There is no state in Nigeria that the productivity of the civil servants can pay their salaries.
All right, many thanks for that submission. Because of time, let's quickly go into the next story, which is there is a divided opinion among some Nigerians online over the release of the bail of alleged pedophile, that's Baba Ijesha. The police said they released him on health basis. Justice is yet to be served for the victim. So it's important for me to get the submission of my co-host on this. Efo, let me start with you. What's your take on it?
Well, for Baba Ijesha, like I said, it's a story I'd rather not say anything about. But if the police say the offense is committed, is bailable, what can we do about it now? All right,
I will have a lawyer on the table. What's your take on it?
The offense is not a capital offense. Okay. You could say child rape has been alleged. Okay. It has not been established. And you see, you don't deny people of their liberty on suspicion. Suspicion, no matter how strong, is not evidence. It has to be proven in court. And the purpose of bail is not to say go and say no more.
Exactly.
It is go, come back at a point to answer the charges. So I think people see bail as punitive. They'll just keep him there for as long as it takes because the offense is alleged to have committed is so bad. No, that's not how the court system works. Okay. So it's on administrative or police bail. There will be shorties that took him out. Yeah. And they will ensure that he comes to court to attend court if he's eventually going to be charged to court. So I don't see, this is not an emotional issue as people tend to make it look like.
Exactly. You know? So, we have social media, which happens to be the new court of law these days. And I want to use this opportunity to talk to the public to understand that the bail doesn't mean freedom. Yes. It doesn't mean that the case is over, just like our lawyer have emphasized. To the public who may not want to cling or who have all sorts of sentiments over these controversies that is ongoing at the moment. I think I would like to give the final submission to say that the case has been taken up by the government and the public eye is on it. We are all on it. It can't be swept under the carpet. But what I am saying is that let's all allow justice and the law to take its course, and to Princess and the foster mother and the who happens to be the foster mother and of course the biological mother of the child. Also, I hope that they are all listening. I believe that you all have facts, you all have proof, you all have evidences, and the part of which is what has been taken to court. And I want to say that, of course, with that, I don't think that any court of law will want to sweep under the carpet and you have a case and you might win or you will win. So be rest assured of victory eventually being yours, but let's get the victory according to the law. The most concerned aspect to me as a mother who shares a sense of feeling with the victim in question is that I think that we should channel our energy towards the victim. That is the child. Quite a number of people are not talking more about the child. The aspect of the little child or the little child here who happens to be a minor, there are quite a number of stories behind it. Yeah. People are saying it's 14, people are saying 15. A lot of controversies have been cropping up and all of that. We should still keep our fingers crossed as events unfold on this case, but remember that justice will be served and it will never be swept under the carpet.
What is important is so long as she's not reached the age of consent in our law, it is an abuse, but you have to establish that. And so the people who are involved will have to make a judgment. Is it worth putting that lady on trial? Because when you allege rape, you're also putting the victim on trial. Yeah. The victim will have to give evidence. Yes. And the accused person, we also have to provide facts.
So where does the mental health comes in here, especially when it comes to the girl child?
Well, you see, the mental health is a psychological issue which can be dealt with outside of the court system. The courts don't provide psychological help. So I don't know the details beyond the flashes and then the emotional outburst of people,
different parties
and all that. But the truth of the matter is that when you take, and that's why a lot of people don't come out to say I was raped.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because first and foremost, the sense of not believing that the victim is always very high in the population, that they're just telling lies. So you are going to hear all kind of stories. But I think that whatever decision they make, it should be, the focus should be on the victim. How do we get her to emerge out of this? She has a whole lot of her life ahead of her to live.
All right. Many thanks for that. I think this is where we draw the curtains of the show today. Again, thank you for being on the show. And of course, to my beautiful co-host, Lolo, Omotunde, and Efo. You know, I keep calling her auntie. The traditional girl.